Before we jump into the episode today, I want to share something with you from my heart. First of all, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I really can't tell you how much your support means to me. We've been doing the podcast now for almost 4 years. I can't even believe it. And I'm so grateful for each and every single one of you that listens, shares an episode with your friends, sends me a DM or a text message letting me know how an episode resonated with you or any aha moments. Seriously, I couldn't be more grateful to be able to create this podcast. It has been such a blessing in my life, and I love hearing the ways it's been able to provide value in yours as well. One thing you might not know is how much work it takes to be consistent with a podcast. In fact, did you know that the majority of podcasts don't make it past episode number 10? And we are well beyond that. And it's just a lot thinking of the episodes, recording them, editing them, managing the guests, making sure that everything runs smoothly and gets uploaded consistently and regularly. And so that's why I have created an amazing opportunity for you to support the podcast monetarily. And in exchange for that, you will get exclusive premium subscriber content. So for as little as $3 a month, you can become a premium subscriber of the podcast. And every month I will upload new voice-guided workouts and breathwork meditation audio for you. So that way you can work out with me, coaching you in your ears. You can also take a moment to reduce your stress and relax and come down and ground down with one of my breathwork audios. So if that is on your heart to support the podcast for as little as $3 a month to become a premium podcast subscriber, I can't tell you how much that means to me and the growth of this podcast. I appreciate you. If you're interested, click the link in the description, become a premium podcast subscriber, new content every month, and while supplies last, I'll send you an exclusive podcast coffee mug so you can have your self-love and sweat coffee every morning. I appreciate you. Now let's get into the show. Welcome to Self-Love and Sweat, the podcast, the place where you'll get inspired to live your life unapologetically, embrace your perfect imperfections, break down barriers, and do what sets your soul on fire. I'm your host, Lunden Gia. Hey friend, it's me, Lunden Gia, online lifestyle transformation coach. I help people all over the world just like you who know they are meant for more, get their mind right and their body tight, and go from crazy busy to crazy happy. And hey, if it's our first time meeting, welcome. So happy to have you. And if you've been with us for a while, it's so great that you're here too. I'm really excited to share this episode of the Self-Love and Sweat podcast with you. I've known Gia Sinatra for 14 years, and she's one of my favorite people on the planet. She's from Las Vegas, but currently lives in Los Angeles, California, where she works as a model, hairstylist, and body positive influencer. And yes, you might recognize her last name. She is a distant relative of Frank Sinatra. Welcome back to the Self-Love and Sweat podcast, Gia.
Thank you. And that's a very distant relative.
We got to do, what's that called? The 23andMe or the genealogy thing to like prove it.
Right. I always say it's just a cool last name.
No, it has a good ring to it. Gia Sinatra.
Well, the good thing is people never forget my last name or forget me because of that when they know my last name. Like it's just something that's memorable. So something that works in my favor.
It sticks. It can never forget you. Impossible.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for being here. I'm happy that you're on the podcast today because I called Gia or I texted her and I was like, hey, Gia, we got to get on the podcast. We got to talk about how we're feeling and how we're keeping on. And how we're getting through the and the and the. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm happy that you're here because I want everybody to benefit and from this conversation, and like hear it and feel it. But also as a friend, I'm like, let's talk.
Yeah.
So before we got on this, I just said, Gia, we're going to record. So we didn't there's no plan or method to the madness, as is per usual with us. But.
And I'm like, okay, let's do it. Put my headphones on. Let's go.
Riggedy rock for sure.
What you got?
Yeah. So I feel like, we're now in Austria in like wrapping up our 4th week of quarantine. And within the last 4 weeks, it's been like in various degrees. At first it was like, oh, okay, like work from home. And I'm like, cool, I already work from home. And it's like, don't be, so social. And I'm like, cool, I'm a homebody and I like to do my thing anyways, and then it was like slowly but surely, not really, being encouraged to be outside too much. It takes forever to go to the grocery store and the whole process and all the things. And so, I feel like a lot of us all over the world are going through the feels in one form or another. And I just wanted to talk about it and shed some light on it and how we're kind of coping and dealing and doing our best to show up our best during this time. How are you? How's LA?
I'm good. I mean, I feel like I've gone through different phases. I've been in for like a month now. I've been in this. So I feel like what you said, every week is different. It's a different phase. But right now we are in LA and we have beautiful weather today. I haven't really been outside, but I can see. Yesterday it was beautiful and we went for a run outside. But for me, I'm a positive person for the most part. I try to stay positive. I try to stay stress-free. But it's hard. It gets to you of like having to be cooped up inside. I mean, luckily here we can go out for walks, but I try to not do that too much either.
Yeah. And people, all over the world are experiencing different things. And so I must say I'm super grateful for our possibility to still be able to go outside and walk and get fresh air and things like that. But I love what you said about the phases. Can we talk about the phases that you've gone through a little bit? Because I feel like in the beginning, it was just like, let's go. It's go time. I'm gonna do live workouts every day at this time. We're going to move, we're going to go, we're going to rock. And then you get to a point where it's like, okay, it's been a month. You can't be like a super pumped up cheerleader, hype woman for a month, every single day straight. There were some times where, like I was saying for the last, I feel like I was like, motivator, pumped up, ready to rock. Let's go. Then okay, let's find some realness to the situation. Let's kind of go back to the drawing board. Let's create a new normal because it wasn't sustainable for me to do 2, 3, 4 live workouts every single day for my page, other pages, things like that. Coming back to create this new normal, finding new habits and strategies that worked and felt good. And then the last 2 days, I've just been feeling lots of thoughts dancing in my brain, just a lot of feels in my physical body and my emotional body. And so I feel like I've been pretty much on a roller coaster from these 4 walls inside of my own house.
Yeah, same. And I feel like me and you are very similar in that way because I took it the same approach. So I had gotten back from Morocco. I was in Morocco with my girlfriends for 2 weeks and I landed here on the night of the 13th of March. So I basically started my quarantine that night into the next morning. And so I was coming in. By
choice or were you forced to? When you came in, did they tell you?
By choice.
Okay, got it.
Oh, well, we were reading online and people were saying you need a quarantine. For those that have listened to the previous podcast, I'm a hairstylist and a model. So the jobs that I had lined up were my clients and stuff. I was checking with them and they were all agreeing let's maybe give it some time. And the more I researched, our president made a statement saying if you've been traveling overseas, you should self-quarantine for 2 weeks. We had a day in Barcelona where Spain did have a high number of cases at that time, higher than the US. I believe higher than the US at that time, because a lot changed here very quickly. So it was basically like everyone was telling me this is what you need to do. So I felt like as a responsible human that I need to be away from people for 2 weeks just in case.
Got it. So regardless of like what was going to happen next, you just decided self-quarantine for 2 weeks. And then now
yeah,
really
like,
we gotta.
Unfortunately, yeah, I mean, I'm so blessed and so lucky that I was able to travel, but doing so, making the decision to travel when this was all starting, also put me in a position where, yeah, I had to quarantine, which sucked because if had I known, then, that added into my time of being off work. So now I'm like,
coulda, woulda, had I known.
Yeah,
I know.
but like at the same time, like when I really thought about it, like God forbid I had it and I didn't know. And then I went and I infected my clients who then infected, so unfortunately I just had to make the responsible decision to do that. Yeah. And then from there, we got put onto like a forced lockdown where non-essential businesses closed and all of that. But I was still in like a pretty positive headspace. I had one moment where our, I don't remember if it was our mayor, our governor came on and they said that we were going to be in this until, gosh, at that point, I think it was like April 15th, something around today's date. And I was like, oh my God, like, I can't believe that. And I like had my first moment where it all hit me and like, I cried and I was just like, wow, okay. Like, going to be out of work for a little while. And so the first, going back to the first week, I kind of took it how you did. And I was like, okay, like I'm gonna do live workouts and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna make the most of it and I'm gonna do all the things that I've always wanted to do, but I never had time to do. And so I was doing pretty good. Like I'd have my moments of feeling like bored, but I was like staying productive and good. And then I got to the same point of like doing my live workouts. I was doing them 5 days a week and then I started going down to 4. And now like this week I just did 2, like it was getting a lot. And then like this past weekend was Easter weekend and it all really hit me. Like I was feeling sad that I was away from my family and I couldn't be with them on Easter. And my family is only a short 4-hour drive away in Vegas, but, I had to make another responsible decision to not go see them because same thing, God forbid, I've been to the grocery store. You just don't know where you could pick it up. And I'm just trying to be safe and follow the orders. And so, yeah, just really I had like a tough weekend where I was feeling down and I was feeling depressed and I was just like, oh my God, I cannot believe that we have to do this for another month. We got extended to May 15th. So, and it really made me realize that if I'm feeling this way as a positive person, someone who is always trying to stay positive and active and productive, I can't imagine what somebody who struggles with depression and struggles with this on a, daily basis feels like.
I know. And I feel that's why I was kind of like, okay, Gia, let's hop on and talk about it. Like, because I don't want to say that I was avoiding the topic. That's not right. But I was just kind of like, let's focus on something else. Let's focus on the things we can do. Let's focus on the positive. Let's focus on moving our bodies. Let's focus on trying new things, learning new things, and all those things, which have totally helped and been a huge blessing, giant blessing in my life. But then I was like, you know what? There's so many people out there who would just benefit from, and even myself and us, like benefit from 2 friends who have been friends for a long time on opposite ends of the world, 2 different countries, just talking about how they're feeling and just sharing and opening that up there. And I remember if I'm not mistaken, when we recorded the last podcast or around, sometimes we talked and you had told me, you're like, yeah, I had a moment, like I cried. And I feel like my moment was around that time as well. Like I remember, so I've said this on a podcast before, but like I am an emotional person. You know, I'm not the type of person where I'm like, oh, it takes a lot to make me cry. Like I cry, you know, but for one reason or another, I was just feeling like I needed to cry and I need to get it out, but I couldn't. There was like a block. There was like a plug. It was like the hair when it's clogged in the drain and the water doesn't run out. Like that's how I felt. And so I have a good friend of mine here in Austria. She's actually from California. She sings amazing. And I was like, can I put in a song request? Because she's been sending me like videos of her singing. And she's singing Ave Maria by Beyonce. The Beyonce version of Ave Maria. And I
was like by Beyonce.
Yeah, the Ave Maria. I won't even try. I'm not even
version.
to sing that. But she sent me that video. And in that video, she kind of got a tear and it just like all the floodgates broke. And I was just crying, like the ugly cry, just like, just like letting it all out. And I just really felt like I wasn't just crying, you know, for me, but I felt like, you know, there was just so much pain in the world. I'd been getting so many messages on Instagram and email and then talking with my family and all the things. And I just needed to like, let it all out. And after that, I was describing it to my friend who'd sent me the song. And I was like, I feel like I was almost mourning the loss of my old life, of my old normal. And there was so much talk about, you know, when things go back to normal, when things go back to the way that they were, when things go back to that. And I had this like moment, this realization where I'm like, dude, you know, things might never go back to the normal that we once knew. In fact, they probably won't. And I almost like, I mourned that, like the loss of just the loss in general, the loss of a friend, just a loss. And that's how I really felt. Like, it was like, I was sad about it, but I knew I had to move on and I knew I had to keep on keeping on. And I knew I needed to slow down and check in with my body and just take it day by day, sometimes moment by moment. And then after that, things started to pick up as well. And I started feeling good, you know, like, you know, kind of on that upswing, if you will, of like, okay, had that good cry. We can make it through, you know, had some good conversation with my family and with my boyfriend and with close friends. And then like 2 days ago, or no, yesterday and the day before, I felt like a new wave of emotions was coming in. You know, I was feeling just like anxious and, like a lot of to-dos were bouncing through my head, you know, like I got to do this and make sure you do this and do this and do this and do this. And so when I was like trying to go to sleep, it was like all these thoughts dancing around in my brain. Then, you know, of course, what we're thinking about, I mean, often for me too, what we're thinking about like affects my physical body. So then like the tension was coming into my neck and just like into just, some places. And it was just like, you know, and so not to sit here and like, complain or vent the whole time, but just like wanted to shed light on the fact that even as you said, like as positive people or positive focused people who are always trying to, you know, see the positive and just keep moving forward. And even though I really feel like we're continuing to do that, and I want to talk about like what we're doing in our everyday lives to kind of move in that direction and to keep that trajectory and keep that momentum, doesn't mean it's easy. So just because like we're positive focused people doesn't mean there's like rainbows and butterflies and glitter flying in, you know, and there's like a theme. I wish there was like some theme music as I was walking down and around my apartment. Sometimes I treat my hallway like a runway and I'm like, I wish I had some runway theme music, you know, to kind of chant me up through life. And as I'm walking back and forth in my small little apartment, which I'm so thankful for how small it is, but sometimes it's a little small. And so it doesn't mean that it's easy. So what have you been doing, let's say on a regular basis, that you feel like has helped you through those times, those quarantine life moments?
Definitely working out or doing yoga or even just taking a moment to like breathe and stretch are so good for me right now. Those are the things that I think really are keeping me going. Like my live workouts, I started as like a motivation for other people. And then it became like, okay, this is keeping me accountable. And then when I went like 4 or 5 days without doing them, because then I was contemplating doing them. And when I started doing them again, I realized that like that was helping me so much. Just to like have that moment to connect with people, but also just working out is so good for my mind right now. Going for walks, going outside, getting fresh air, going for a run, or even just sometimes like sitting on my patio and getting some fresh air are so good for me. I Sunday was going through a lot of what you did, and I had my crying moment so my neighbor at the building next door, it must have been his birthday. Everybody was like, all his friends like did a drive-by birthday thing, and they were honking and yelling and like bringing him stuff. And I was like crying, and I'm like, oh my God. That like, I just like that. I felt that so much. And then I woke up on Monday and I posted about this, but I wrote all the things that I've found beauty in during this time, like all the positives and, things that are different from my old life. Like I always used to say like, I'm going to get organized this year. And like, I mean, I'm like semi-organized, but there's like, things that I wanted to like deep organize in my place and be like super organized with everything. And like, I'm finally doing that. And I'm finally having the time to do that and keep my house clean all the time and go for walks. Like we were never going for walks as much as we are now. And we've been trying to get like 10,000 steps in a day. Not every day we do, but we at least try to like go for a little walk. And we were barely walking before. So that's like something that's been so nice. And just like having.
No, go ahead. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
No. Yeah. I mean, just like having like cooking meals and like having time to cook it and not like, let me just throw this together real quick. And obviously I still have those moments still where I'm hungry and just throw something together, but like, it's nice to like, what?
I said, feed me.
Right. And just to like, it's nice to like have those moments of like, I'm so like on the go, like, let's do this and let's do that. And like to just have some time to like really like soak it in and, like connect with people. Like I FaceTime, me and you have FaceTimed more than we have before. And like, calling my niece and my nephew and talking to my family more. And just like all those things are such a blessing that I think I had to really focus on that. Like there's more pros than cons. Mm-hmm. In this new normal. And so like I took the time and I wrote it all out and I posted everything that I wrote out because I had such a tough weekend. It was like, for me, it was like a good 4 days where I was like, and then I didn't want to do anything. Like there was a couple of days that I didn't even move from the couch. Like I was just like in a funk. I was done.
Funkville, USA. And then once you get there or when you're in there, it's so easy to stay there, and the more days that go on and on and on, and the more funk you are and the more funky you get, like I can't think of any other way to describe it, but
yeah,
you really gotta use those tools like you talked about, like pull yourself out of that. And so I agree, it's exercise for sure hard. And it's hard. And the thing is that like the things that we talk about as well. And I posted this on social today too. It's like movement makes me feel good. Being out in the fresh air, rolling around in the grass, like FaceTiming with my family, having, like you said, fresh home cooked meals and like being thankful and grateful for that, counting my blessings, watching videos that my family sends me of my beautiful niece who's almost 2 and watching her grow up and being able to FaceTime with her and all the things. But just because we have this like repertoire or list of things that make us feel good doesn't mean we like look at the list and we're like, okay, today I'm going to FaceTime with my friend and that's going to be, great. Like I had to do like, I don't know, 9.5 out of 10 things on my list over the last like day and a half to finally by today, like 4.5 hours ago, I was on a walk where I finally felt like,
okay, it's working.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't just like, oh yeah, one workout made everything amazing. It was like I continued to work out those last couple days when I was really feeling that funk, continuing to, find things to laugh at and FaceTime with my family and make jokes with my friends. I was like continuously, like laughing and just kind of even forcing my, that smile to like come out and just, going outside, getting fresh air, even when I didn't even feel like walking downstairs, making sure I was taking out the trash, separately. So I would like go downstairs, take out the plastic, come back up, grab the paper, take that down. So I knew I was moving more, because I feel like when we allow ourselves to be super stagnant, physically, emotionally, just like all the things, then we become like that murky pond, where we just need to like stir things up a little bit. And so I just feel like, I'm so thankful and happy to talk with you and to talk about this, because it's like, it doesn't even mean now that like what used to bring you out of a funk before this is what the answer is to bring you out of a funk now, and it doesn't mean that just because one thing worked one time means that it's going to work the next time. Sometimes I'm like, oh, a great workout was like all I freaking needed. I just needed a good sweat. It's like, some days, no, I needed the good sweat. I needed the good stretch. I needed to FaceTime with mama. I needed to talk to my friends. I needed to count my blessings. I needed to take my whiteboard that I have right here next to me and write some good quotes on it. Like, God loves me. Life is going to be okay. Like, I got this. Like, just like hype myself up a little bit. Like sometimes it takes a lot of things. And, like you said, it's not easy, but seeing that big picture and just continuing to move forward day by day, moment by moment, sometimes hour by hour, sometimes, and having those things to look forward to. Like you said, like I was so excited. For those of you guys that don't know, Gia has been doing live workouts with like various trainers on her page. So she's been inviting, trainers that she knows and she's trained with before, including yours truly, myself. I've been on there every week. And so it was really in the beginning, I was like, oh, I need to be doing live workouts and things like that. The people need to move. I'm motivated to move. I'm going to share that motivation. But now, like right back to echo what you're saying, like I was so excited to come on and do yoga with you today. Like outside of whoever was watching and joining, that was great too. But like first and foremost, I was like, yes, I have some time with Gia. We're stretching together. We're yogaing together. I can hear you breathing. I think you can hear me breathe. It's like, it was just like that whole, I was so excited for that. It wasn't so much like, oh, this is an appointment and this is a time where I need to teach workout. It was like, no, this is a time where I'm hanging out with my friend. I'm moving my body. She's moving her body. There's other people around the world watching and joining in too. And something about that just really brought a really magical feeling to my evening and made me feel super, super good, because I wasn't feeling like this 24 hours ago. In fact, 24 hours ago, I was like struggling to fall asleep, just struggling with like self-doubt and, what ifs and when is this going to be? And just like, and it was almost like there was two sides of me, where it was like this part that was just like venting all these feelings and emotions, that I really wanted to feel. I didn't want to put them away and say, no, you shouldn't feel that. Or why are you feeling that? You shouldn't be that way. There's so many blessings, London, I really like allowed myself to feel it. And then the other side too was just kind of like, okay, London, what are the tools and strategies that even though you don't feel like busting any of them out right now, what are the things that help? And you just need to go one after the other and just continuing to do it. So I'm like, okay, my oils, let's rub my oils all over me, get a good night's sleep. I know that getting a good night's sleep is going to help me. So let's turn off, I've been watching a lot of Tiger King recap YouTube videos. And so I'm like, okay, let's turn that off. Let's just come into the body. Let's come in just wiggling my toes, just inhaling my essential oils. Sure enough, I fell asleep. I woke up this morning. I was like, I don't know. I'm still feeling kind of, what else makes me feel good? Fresh air, get outside, go for a run. Got my stuff together, went outside, went for a run. It was freezing this morning. My lips were frozen. My nose was frozen. Normally it's been pretty nice here, the weather, but my lips and everything were frozen. But I'm like, no, just keep on keeping on. When I got out, I was like, I'm going to do the small loop. But then I was like, no, London, do the big loop. Go all the way around, do your normal 5K loop. You're going to feel better. Once you start sweating and your legs and everything get warmed up, you're going to feel good. Keep going, right? Came back, warm shower, just like feeling the water on the body, you know, reading my Journey to the Heart book, reading my Jesus Calling book, doing my daily devotional, even though I was trying to read and focus and my brain was wandering elsewhere, you know, and just continuing to work through that list of things, or just kind of even that mental list of, hey, I know what things make me feel good, but if I don't do them and just kind of one at a time, just go after it and just do one at a time, then I'm going to slide into that funk, you know, and slide into that space that you talked about. And, you know, quite frankly, we both do our thing on social media in one way or another. And I just felt like, you know, I have a big why and a big purpose and a big reason to show up. And so that doesn't mean I need to, you know, put on a mask and show up happy today, but I really need to remind myself of that, you know, hey, my mission and my purpose, and that is bigger than how I'm feeling now, but it's cool that I'm feeling this way right now. It's all good. I'm going to feel through it and just continue to make baby steps, baby steps.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing I always tell people about confidence. It's like, it's something you have to work on day in and day out. And that's exactly how it is right now, of like staying positive and staying in a good headspace. And we have another month left as of now here. We're until May 15th. So I'm sure there's going to be other times where I'm feeling down and sad and emotional, and like, every time I'm just going to have to, like, you know, it's going to be a daily work during this time to stay positive and stay in a good space.
Yeah.
It's just like how it's going to be. And some people, that's the thing, is some people may not even be able to pull themselves out of it because they suffer with some kind of depression, or they're alone, or they're, you know, missing family, whatever it is, it's hard, or financially struggling, which a lot of people are. You're in Austria, where you guys seems like you have a better setup financially, but
yeah, I mean, I'm self-employed regardless. And so yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly the setup, just because I didn't want you to ask me. And then I was going to be like, I'm not sure.
Yeah. But I mean, here, you know, if, like, for us, like, I'm self-employed, but I'm now eligible for unemployment. And it is a weird thing to be like, yeah, I'm waiting on my unemployment, because I've just never been in that position. I've never even been able to collect unemployment, but I haven't got a check. We have a stimulus check that's coming from Trump for $1,200. Like, I haven't gotten that. So if I didn't have a savings account, like, I'd be screwed right now, you know? So, I mean, they're allowing us to, like, not pay our rent and stuff like that, but, like, people still have to eat and, like, even just, like, get food on the table. So for the people that haven't gotten their unemployment and that, so, you know, I'm so blessed and so lucky to, like, that my biggest issues are staying positive every day, because for the people that don't have, you know, aren't even able to, like, eat every meal, like, they're struggling a lot harder than we are. So to get out of that it's easier for us to say, oh, like, you can just go for a walk and write down all the things that you're blessed and you're grateful for and this. But, like, for some people, they just may not even be able to get out of that funk. So
yeah, and just have, everybody has their own struggle and own thing that they're going through. And I'd say, like, even, yeah, I mean, everyone has a various degrees of, you know, what they're going through and the severity of that. But at the same time, there's a lot of people who are in, let's say, from a one-to-one perspective, or like on paper, in theory, have a lot, you know, less than we do, and are a lot, let's say, worse or more confined circumstances, who are still finding the positive and the beauty and the opportunity in every day, you know. And also, just because there's other people out there who maybe have it worse than us doesn't discount the way that we're feeling and what kind of is going on in our minds and in our hearts and in our soul and things like that too. And so I just really wanted to hop on with you just to have the conversation, and for people listening to say, like, yeah, whatever it is that you are going through, is valid. There's no right or wrong or right way to deal with it or whatever. But I just feel like hearing us talk about it and, being able to kind of go through that together. And then also, connecting with other people, using the technology that we have to share your feelings and to be open. That doesn't mean that everybody on the social medias and everybody everywhere on the internet has to know every single feeling that you're feeling 24/7. I don't believe that that's providing value and that's spreading love and that's, spreading positivity for other people or things like that. But having, people that you can go to and a group of people that you can share with. So I'm just so thankful that I can talk with you, Gia, and that I can share how I'm feeling with you and that we can be open and honest here. And for all of you guys listening, I say this, I'm like, all your feelings are welcome. I can't help or fix anything. That's not the case. But if anyone, wants to shoot me a DM or a message or reach out, I just feel like, I'm happy to just lend an ear, lend an ear. I don't have the answers.
I think the thing is like, this is a great time to get things done. This is a great time to organize and clean and do all the things. But also, if you're not feeling that, that's fine too. It's okay to relax. You may not ever get this chance to rest and relax. And so I think it's just like, however you want to use the time, use it. I mean, if you do have the energy to get something done, great. Like, why not? But, or work out, working out is so great for your mental health and your overall health. Like, don't even think about like a size or a weight or any of that. Just like work out for your mental health right now. But I mean, I feel like just don't feel pressure to do anything. But if you have the energy to do it, do it. It might make you feel better. Organizing and working out and all these things are making me feel better, being productive, but maybe for everyone it doesn't,
Just trying out those new things to see like, oh, I never, organizing and cleaning things out can be so therapeutic and feel so good and feel so cleansing in a way that you never thought was possible. Moving your body outside of the gym and outside of a rigid training plan, just to move your body and move use your muscles and break a sweat. Or on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you never did anything before and now's your time to come in and move your body and work your muscles and things like that, just being open to try a variety of avenues. What?
Alone in your house where you're not being judged at a gym. I know some people feel judgment at a gym. So like, this is your time, like get comfortable moving your body and, before the gyms are open back up, or if you don't ever want to go to the gym again, that's fine too. But like, I know some people have like insecurities going to the gym and working out in front of people. So this is also a good time to like get comfortable moving and with your body.
Yeah. Amen.
Amen. Namaste.
I love you so much. Namaste. Amen. Hallelujah. What else? All of them.
All of the things.
All of the things. I love you so much, Gia. Thank you so much for your time and for chatting with us and being a good friend, but also a solid human out in this world, out on the social medias where people can be anything and everything. I'm just so thankful that you are who you are and you're spreading the love and spreading that message. And I'm sure we'll have you on again. I'm sure we'll have you on again and again because I love having you on here and everybody else loves having you on here too. So
I love you and I'd be happy to come anytime.
To be continued, but tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Gia Sinatra and newly TikTok. Have to put that out there. So I'm on Instagram. You can message me if you have any questions or just follow along on my journey.
Get inspired.
Yeah. I love you. Thank you so much for having me.
Love you too, sister. Have a good rest of your day. Talk to you later.
You too.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Self-Love and Sweat, the podcast. Hey, do me a favor. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, give us a review. This really helps a lot. And share this with a friend. I'm only one person, and with your help, we can really spread the message of self-love and sweat and change more lives all around the world. I'm Lunden Souza, reminding you that you deserve a life full of passion, presence, and purpose, fueled by self-love and sweat. This podcast is a Hit Spot Austria production.